What I've done here for dreadlocking is that first I've dreaded the whole bottom side of his hair. To help me do the technique, I want to put up the rest of his hair to keep it out of the way. Right now I've sectioned off a little section of hair right here that I'm going to be dreadlocking to show you today. The technique I'm going to be using is going to be with a small crochet needle and a comb to tease the hair first. So I'm going to start on this lock right here. I have it already sectioned off. First step is I'm going to go ahead and tease the hair first. And I just do that by rubbing the comb back and forth through the hair. I keep doing that a few times until the hair is knotted. And as you can see, it's already started to form knots. So once it started to form knots, I'm going to go ahead and start twisting it with my fingers and my hands, twisting it around. Once it's twisted, I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to start poking it in between my fingers. And as you can see, I hope, is you can see how the hair is just starting to be pulled out. And so what I'm going to continue is to make those little pulls with the crochet needle. And it's just in and out, in and out. I like to have the curve facing towards me when I do it. And you can see all these little loops that are getting to form. I'm going to twist it. And now these loops are going to form on the other side. I'm going to twist it again. And I'm going to keep doing this twisting and looping motion until I start to have a cylinder, or it starts to be circular in the dreadlock. Go ahead and pick up the pace a little bit. Try to do it a little bit faster. And as you can see, it's starting to form into a loop right here, a cylinder. And I keep rubbing it with my fingers to sort of see how thick the dreadlock is. The hair will pretty much have its own thickness for the dreadlocks. So at this step, I've already made the cylindrical cylinder right here of the lock, and it's time to add some more knots into it. I'm going to take my comb, I'm going to tease it some more. And now I can see there's already starting to be some knots in there. I'm going to take my needle again and start locking it farther down. As you can see, I hope, is the dreadlock is starting to form more well. This one right here has already been done a little bit. It's the same style that I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and tease it some more and continue the dreadlocking. Now what's going to happen is when you get towards the bottom of your dreadlock, I'll go ahead and use this one right here. When you get towards the bottom of the dreadlock, you're going to have a lot of loose hairs sticking out. To get the loose hairs in, you're going to pretty much wrap it around the end point, and this time the needle is going to go straight down instead of through the side of the dreadlock. By moving it straight down, in and out of the dreadlock, it's going to pull these hairs back up into it. And we want a nice rounded end to this dreadlock. Maybe I'll do it on the side a little bit. Try to help some of these loose hairs not poke out so much. As we can see, it's starting to sort of get rounded. It's not going to be so pokey anymore. It's okay, it's going to look sloppy a little bit while all these hairs are still poking out. We're going to make little spins and rotations with our fingers as the needle goes in and out. And now what I see is I have all these loose hairs on this side. So I'm going to pay real close attention. I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to reach through and I'm going to grab these loose hairs and start pulling them in. And that way, if you have just a few loose hairs sticking out, you can target them and start pulling them back through. And that's what I'm doing here, is I'm targeting these loose hairs and I'm pulling them back through. And so now we can see on the end here, it's starting to round out a little bit. And the more time you take, the more you can get it rounded. Okay? So those are all the steps for doing a dreadlock. Once the dreadlock is complete, it should look something like this. It's going to have some loose hairs coming out, and those need to be put back in the same way.
That is so awesome.
Thank you, and I'll see you next time.